Good morning. This is Brendan. I'm back again. The wives are still away in Mexico somewhere with their mothers and sisters. So the guys in the neighborhood are still cooking for themselves and going to restaurant and pubs, I suppose, to eat. But I've decided that I was going to make a video or a series of videos this week so that my wife actually can come to the conclusion that I can cook when I feel like it. And she a lot of times gives me hell because she said, before I married you, you said you could cook. And I haven't seen any evidence of that. So here's the evidence. Tonight I'll be cooking a more extensive recipe, and we'll keep on. I think I'm probably going to do a steak of some sort. And I'm looking over various different ways to make it interesting. However, this morning I thought I'd do something a little bit different, and this has nothing to do with the women. This is for the guys, okay? And so I thought I would, first give you a little bit of background. My wife is German. Her parents came over from Germany, and many of the things in this household are German, and we struggle occasionally with the language from time to time, and various different kind of old world things of doing things that are German, but a lot of good has come from that. A lot of foods that I had never been exposed to. I'm an Irish kid from Boston. I ate meat and potatoes and pretty much whatever my parents put on the plate, which didn't vary a great deal. But bless their hearts, they tried hard. So, but in marrying into a German family, I've learned a lot about how to cook rouladen and various different staple dinners of Germany. And my mother-in-law is a fantastic cook. So it's really a pleasure every time you get invited over to her house, which is coincidentally about 7 houses down the street. So that works out nicely. We're all in Tampa. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to kind of walk you through the very simple steps of doing a German soft-boiled egg breakfast. Okay, it's very easy to do. Doesn't require a hell of a lot of instructions. And once you see it, you say to yourself, hey, I can do this. And at some point in the game, maybe you're going to cook for your wife, or your wife's going to say the same thing to you. I do all the cooking, why don't you do anything? Here's a good morning breakfast that you can do that is both impressive and if you tell the story right, then, you look a little more sophisticated. So we're going to start off here in a minute. I'm going to reposition the camera so you can see what's going on, and I'll be back with you in a second. Okay, repositioned in the kitchen in a little different spot. So let me go over what we have here, okay? I'm going to move the camera a little bit about, and I'm sorry if I kind of make it a little bit crazy because it's bouncing around a little bit. But first thing, when you're making a German soft-boiled egg breakfast, eggs. So expect you'll need 1 or 2 eggs, maybe 3. I have whenever I'm cooking and on camera, I have a tendency to bring enough that I can make a mistake and get away with it. So I have a bowl here with 3 eggs in it. Probably may not eat 3, but at least I have them in case if I make a mistake or I break an egg or something. So first thing you want to have is you want a hole puncher, okay? Really simple little plastic thing you can pick up at any kitchen store. If you look around and you got a wife who cooks a lot, there's one there someplace. Take a look at it. Might look like something like this. When you push on it and put the egg in it, okay, a little needle pops out of here and it pokes into the top of the egg. And the reason we do that, it's very simple, and we just do it and you can hear it, okay, and it puts a little hole in the top of the egg, which allows pressure to be released while the egg is cooking. So that's number 2. And that's number 3, okay? You can see the little holes, they're in the top of the eggs, okay? And real simple step, look around, find one in the store. There's probably one in the house somewhere. Even if you wanted to take a a needle, you could probably do the same thing. So you don't have to get particularly fancy. This one is concaved so that it goes into the top of the egg. But like I said, it's a German family and they do this all the time. So the cooking utensils around the house are designed for that. Okay. The other thing that you're going to need is a pot of water. Okay, and you're going to take that and you're going to put it on high, and you want the water to be boiling. Okay, very important that the water be boiling. You're going to put the eggs in the water, okay, once it's boiling. Okay, so bring it up. I have an electric stove, not a gas stove, so it takes a little bit different times and things of that sort. But I do almost everything by vision, so I'm going to watch it, and when it gets to the point where it looks like it's beginning to boil, then I'm going to put the eggs in. I use, if I can find it, a pair of tongs to do so. They're a little soft on the top, and open and close like that. Better than burning your fingers off or trying to do it with a big spoon, because invariably you're going to burn yourself. So these work out really well. Again, look around the kitchen. Probably one there someplace if your wife cooks a lot. Okay, so because they have multiple uses. Okay, so we have right now the eggs that we're waiting for. We are heating up the water. That's going to take a little while. I'm going to set the timer on 6 minutes. Okay, the timer is on the microwave and here. Okay, really easy to use. Just set it, press timer, and it elapses the time. Every single stove is different. Okay, my Margie's cousin, also German, makes these eggs. He's the one who taught me how to do it. In his house, it's 5 minutes because the stove is, either hotter or whatever the case may be, but 5 is the appropriate number. But in my house, in order to make them come out perfectly, got to be 6. So the other thing I want you to do is I want you to go out and get a pot. Okay, somewhere around the kitchen, there's a pot like this. Okay, doesn't matter if it's white, red, brown, polka dotted. Okay, you need a pot like this. And what I want you to do is I want you to get ice out of the freezer. Okay, so hopefully you have a bag of ice somewhere, or you might have a freezer like mine in which you can put it underneath the spout and ice comes out. If you're fortunate enough to have that, it makes it a lot easier. But before we get too far into this, I want you to get a bowl of ice like this. And shortly after the eggs are done cooking, okay, for 6 minutes, as I said earlier on mine, or maybe 5 minutes or 7 minutes on yours, okay, you're going to fill this pot with water, and or a bowl with water, and you're going to have ice, frozen, not frozen, but very, very cold water. And you're going to take the eggs and you're going to put them into the bowl very quickly with the tongs so you don't kill yourself. And they're going to go in there for about maybe half a minute, 3/4 of a minute. What it does is it stops the cooking process. So you go from eggs that go into boiling water that start to cook, okay, and then at the end of that, when the beeper goes off, you're going to very quickly take those eggs and you're going to put them in this bowl with water and the ice, okay, so that you have it half full up of water and the ice, so that you really do have very, very cold water, and that'll stop the cooking process, okay? All right, so that's all you need. Now, beyond that, what you might want to do is you might want to get toast together, whatever you eat with breakfast, okay? People different, a lot of marmalades here, different apricot and blueberry and raspberry, which the Germans like. And I prefer Irish butter, and we do actually have Irish butter here, which is my preference, but that harks back to my family in Ireland and the fact that I believe that Irish butter is the best butter on the planet, and so we do what we can to keep some around here. So up to you. I'm going to do toast, and I'm going to use Irish butter on the toast. And when we get a little bit closer to the end here, I'll show you some of the other things we do in order to make and help the presentation along. All right, I'm going to take a little bit of a break here while the water is beginning to come to a boil, and I'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll go over a few other things, and then we'll have a period that you won't notice, but it will be 6 minutes. So hold on, and I think you're going to like this. Well, I'm back. As you can see, the water is boiling, and so I am going to transfer the eggs now, poor little bastards, into the boiling hot water. Don't be too concerned if you see some of the eggs come out of the shell, because the shells very often will break a little bit under the hot water. Now, I see I have one right now that's already has some cracks in it in the transfer. I'm going to hit the timer now, and we are going to be going from here to 6 minutes. Each one of the eggs, as you remember, has a little pinprick in it, and it's releasing a little bit of fluid as it cooks. So you'll see that in the pot. Don't worry about it. You haven't broken anything. It's just it's just what's coming out of that pinprick. So I have two that are pretty solid here, and I've got a third one that has a little bit of cracking in it. Probably the quality of the eggs that I use more than anything else. In Tampa, typically the eggs you buy are white. I know that if you're up in the Northeast of the United States, then they very often can be brown or a combination of the two. I think it's pretty much the same thing. But if I was an expert, then you'd be probably paying to get my advice versus me just sitting here telling you what to do on a morning when I've got nothing else to do. As you can see in the background, the cats have decided to wake up, and they are wandering around. Don't let that bother you too much. But we do have two beautiful Balinese cats and one Siamese. And so they are frequent visitors to the kitchen. I'm actually surprised that we've gotten this far into filming over this week and they haven't been more visible. So we're now counting down from 6 minutes, and I'm going to, when I get a little bit closer, I'll fill up the bowl with ice with water, and we'll go through that process. Not particularly fascinating, but it's part of what we have to do. And then we'll move over to the table where I have the traditional setup for a breakfast that's German. So, by the way, just for your use, if you decide to really surprise your wife or girlfriend with your abilities at breakfast time, breakfast is called Frühstück in German. So you could have a Frühstück breakfast. So, and pretty much the same thing. Word means breakfast. Surprisingly, how much German is kind of like English in terms of how they apply words, and I think probably a lot of our English, at least American English, came from German roots. Anyway, so until the 6 minutes is over, I'm going to pop off for a little while. But when we come back, I will have a bowl full of cold water mixing with the ice. So that's the next step. Talk to you soon. Okay, I'm back. And according to the timer, I've got 22 seconds left. And before the eggs are done, again, in my stove, that's 6 minutes. Might be different in yours. I also have filled the bowl up with water, ice cold water, so that we can make this quick transfer. I'm going to shut off the timer here, which is pretty easy. And I'm going to quickly move the eggs into the cold water. Now, I have one that has a pretty sizable crack in it. So sometimes they take well to the transfers, sometimes they don't. I'm going to shut the heat off to the stove, which is always a good idea. And at some point in the game, I'm going to circulate this water into the garden so that we can put it to another use. And it's still Tampa, it's still growing season here, so the plants enjoy it because it's still getting up to 80 and 90 degrees, although I suggest you let the water cool off a little bit before you do that. All right, so we have put the eggs into the water. They've basically been shocked. Okay, and I'm now going to take them out of there. Again, you can see they haven't been in there very long. All right, and I'm going to put them into the bowl. That water has stopped the cooking process. Okay, again, I now have a bowl of water that's very cold, and I'm going to put that off to the side, and we'll recycle that later in around the gardens here at the house. I have to take care of some of the house issues this afternoon, so I'll be out cleaning the pool filters and things of that sort. It's mid-February, so we're not using the pool a lot, but you still have to have maintenance on it. It has nothing to do with cooking German eggs, so I'm going to move us over and reposition, and then we'll talk about the next steps. Okay, I'm back. Excuse me for being kind of off of the egg for the moment, or at least I'm looking at the plate at the moment, but this is kind of a controversial step right now. You will note that we have little egg plates for soft-boiled eggs. We have a set of about 6 of these, and they come in very handy because they actually hold the egg up. And the reason that's important is because the next step is how do we access the eggs? Okay, a little different than in the United States. So I'm going to, I wonder if I can reposition this a little bit because I feel like I'm talking to, I'm not in the picture. Anyway, I think that this might be one of the great controversies that continue to go on in Germany. The soft-boiled egg is a much-loved breakfast Frühstück item. However, the question is, how do you get into the egg? All right. The Northern Germans like to take the knife and cut the top part of the egg off, okay, so they can get into the egg. If you are from where my wife's from in Bavaria, it's a little bit different. They take these nice little small egg spoons, again, something else you can buy at a local store, and they will then just break it open. Use your hopefully well-washed fingers and just take the egg shell, and as you see, as you drop it, it'll drop right into the egg here. The Germans are so smart. And you have an opportunity to see what condition your egg is in before you start to eat it. And you also have a nice opportunity to start your breakfast. So the other thing the Germans are very liberal with, in most German cooking, there isn't a lot of salt. Okay, but when it comes to soft-boiled eggs, salt's the thing. You do pepper too. It's whatever happens to be your taste, but having a little separate salt shaker, this one is kind of nice. It has quite a few holes in it, so you can do it very quickly. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spoon and I'm going to push into the egg, and I'm just going to take off the top. Okay, so as you see, it's on the outside, it's well cooked. All right, I'm going to grab this one piece. Yum. Okay. Now, look at this. On the inside, it's nice and soft and yellow, and it's all the way cooked around the sides. So I'm going to add a little bit of salt. I can hear my wife yelling at the camera right now, stop doing that. But I'm still going to do it. I like salt. And then you can use the spoon and you can take out the piece you want and then eat it. Absolutely excellent. Now, I'm going to come up a little bit here. I'm sorry for I should be repositioning the camera off why it's off, but I'm getting to the end here. As I told you, I like toast and I like Irish butter. The Irish butter is a little bit different. We use the butter from Kerry, and it's a little more yellow, but it has a little different taste than American butter, and I like it. So, there you have it, folks. And guys, particularly, cup of coffee. Okay, in this case from the Crazy Donkey, which is, if you're in Santorini and the Greek islands, Crazy Donkey is probably the best beer you've ever had. It's really well done. It's well brewed up in the hills of Santorini, and it's amazing. So it's my favorite Greek beer. Anyway, but it also holds my favorite coffee, which strangely enough comes from Costco. And that's it. Not really all that complicated, okay? Eggs, bowl with ice in it, pan, water, heated, correct amount of time, probably about 6 minutes. You get these great eggs. They are absolutely just taste great. Okay, the presentation is really nice. If you can get your hands on some small salt shakers and a German or European egg plate, it also adds to it. Okay, but I think you could most certainly impress your wife on Saturday or Sunday morning if you do a little breakfast like this. It doesn't take a lot of time. You get to sit around. If you make up 5 or 6 eggs, process is exactly the same, and everybody can share their eggs and marmalade and toast and butter, whatever you want. It's a great way to sit around and have a morning breakfast. And if you're in Germany, or you actually have a authentic German Frühstück, there's also cold cuts involved. Not a lot, we don't really do a lot of bacon, not a really kind of a German thing, but cold cuts are often a big part of it. Cheese is most certainly a big part of it. So I think that you can make this as extravagant as you want to, or you can make it very simple. Okay, it doesn't take a long time, easy to clean up, and you get a lot of points for it. So that's my suggestion. Tonight I'll get back to what I was doing before and proving to my wife and mother-in-law and people in the neighborhood that the guys around here can actually cook. And we'll do something a little more extravagant. But this was just for us. Okay, that's it. I'm going to eat my breakfast because I'm hungry. And as I mentioned, I've got a day's worth of stuff to do outside. And I know that those of you who are freezing to death are saying, he's got to clean the pool. What the hell's wrong with him? Okay, it's summer, it's winter, it's Tampa, and this is the best time of year. So, guys, as I say with all of them, finish off, bon appetit, and we've all learned something. Take care.